Look around you. The next time you find yourself entirely stopped at a red traffic light, take a slow, deliberate look at the cars completely surrounding you. You will likely see a brand new Range Rover idling smoothly to your left. You will notice a flawless midnight black Porsche resting beautifully to your right. You will pull into the parking lot of a premium grocery store and watch people step out of these magical machines, draped confidently in designer clothing, checking the time on heavy steel watches that cost more than a standard college tuition. You will quietly sit there, gripping the heavily worn leather of your steering wheel, and a dark, incredibly persistent question will crawl into the very back of your mind. How does everybody have so much money? What in the world are they doing that I am not doing? Am I failing at life? Today, we are going to delete that anxiety from your brain forever, because we are about to pull back the heavy theatrical velvet curtain on the greatest financial illusion of modern history. It is an incredibly dangerous illusion successfully constructed by brilliant marketing executives, fueled by predatory banks, and desperately maintained by a terrified middle class, who are unknowingly sacrificing their freedom for the temporary applause of total strangers. Welcome to the horrifying, mathematically verifiable reality of the fake rich. Hi, my name is Bill, Dollar Bill. And before we drag our subjects into the financial laboratory today, I want to welcome you to the channel. Let me know directly down in the comments exactly what city or country you are watching this simulation from. And if you have the courage to unlearn the financial lies you have been fed by social media, please leave a like, hit that big subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so we can keep building real, unshakable wealth together. To truly understand how deeply the fake rich illusion infects society, we cannot just look at boring spreadsheets or casually listen to financial advisors preach about cutting out avocado toast. Those methods are functionally weak. We must conduct a highly controlled, deeply uncomfortable psychological simulation. We are going to forcefully take two human beings. We are going to put them inside an isolated virtual laboratory, detach them from the outside world, and subject them to the exact same macroeconomic shock. We want to actively see who securely survives, who aggressively shatters into a million pieces, and precisely why it happens. Allow me to introduce the primary subjects of our experiment. Subject A responds to the name David. David is precisely 35 years old. He is a senior regional sales director for a publicly traded logistics firm based in Miami, Florida. By every single metric that modern consumer society utilizes to calculate human success, David is walking flawlessly among the gods. Subject A brings home an incredibly impressive base salary of $160,000 every single year. If you quickly open David's social media profile, it physically belongs in a luxury magazine. You will see impeccable photos of David standing proudly next to his leased, newly minted BMW 5 Series. You will visibly witness brief videos of him casually drinking expensive cocktails at exclusive rooftop bars overlooking the warm ocean. You will distinctly spot the unmistakable bright bezel of a brand new Rolex Submariner resting heavily on his left wrist. He resides in a luxury high-rise condominium featuring a sprawling infinity pool. David is the exact, specific guy you desperately look at when you confidently stop at that red traffic light and tragically wonder precisely where you went wrong in your own life. Now let us introduce Subject B. His name is Thomas. Thomas is also exactly 35 years old. He actively works as an unassuming middle-tier supply chain manager operating for a mid-sized, utterly boring regional manufacturing company located in the exact same coastal city. Thomas confidently brings home a baseline salary of exactly $65,000 a year. That is mathematically significantly less than half of David's massive corporate income. If you deliberately open Thomas's social media profile, there's truly not much to see. There's a simple picture of him enthusiastically grilling basic hot dogs in his backyard with his golden retriever. There's a casual photo of him proudly washing his heavily depreciated, highly reliable Honda Accord manually in the driveway of his utterly average, slightly outdated three-bedroom house. He does not proudly wear a luxury Rolex. He modestly wears a completely simple digital sports watch. He does not go to deeply exclusive rooftop bars. He happily purchases a basic six-pack of domestic beer and invites his childhood friends over to casually watch the football game, directly on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Society intensely prominently looks directly at David and immediately respectfully bows down, strongly labeling him financially victorious. Society prominently looks directly at Thomas and lazily labels him entirely average, pedestrian, and largely unsuccessful. But our controlled virtual experiment is explicitly not designed to casually measure who looks significantly better on a smartphone screen. It is designed to mathematically measure who is actually undeniably bulletproof. It is ridiculously easy to look incredibly rich when the economic sun is warmly shining. The stock market is aggressively printing historic all-time highs securely, and the corporate electronic direct deposits are fiercely reliably hitting the banking checking accounts, precisely on the 1st and the 15th of every single month. Anyone can smoothly aggressively lease a highly luxurious lifestyle if the massive river of cash powerfully never stops flowing. But true, robust, unadulterated invisible wealth is strictly actively never mathematically measured by the sheer massive volume of water confidently flowing reliably through your personal pipes. True wealth is completely efficiently explicitly clearly defined solely by exactly how long you can highly comfortably survive completely peacefully when the whale. Local city officials aggressively turn the massive main water valve completely tightly off. And that is exactly what we are firmly going to relentlessly comprehensively do entirely explicitly to David and completely thoroughly strictly efficiently securely to Thomas today. Welcome to the brutal, unforgiving Black Swan event. Welcome to the Paycheck Zero protocol. At exactly midnight strictly on the first logical official day of the month, the massive corporate landscape securely violently completely shifts. A massive unexpected global economic contraction forcefully rapidly occurs. Both the massive logistics firm heavily employing David and the firmly established boring manufacturing company strongly employing Thomas instantly successfully dynamically structurally, intelligently correctly securely organically, reliably functionally, ideally, automatically securely neatly. Intelligently, flawlessly, securely, confidently trigger an emergency corporate restructuring. Without warning, without a comfortable golden parachute, and completely without any prior warning. Both David and Thomas are systematically notified that their specific corporate positions have been permanently eliminated. The reliable river stops. Neither man will receive their next paycheck. It is day one of the simulation. The psychological reactions of our two subjects are immediately, fascinatingly divergent. Thomas wakes up, reads the termination email, sighs deeply, and calmly begins brewing a pot of standard coffee in his kitchen. He is mildly annoyed, but fundamentally secure. David, however, does not sigh. David's heart rate instantly spikes to dangerous levels while he is still laying in his expensive cloud foam mattress. He stares at the glowing screen of his smartphone, paralyzed by a dark, suffocating wave of pure terror. Why is a man who is making $160,000 a year completely terrified on day one of unemployment? Let us look precisely under the hood of David's incredibly shiny life. David does not actually possess $160,000. David merely possesses the temporary authorization to route that money directly through his checking account to a massive network of predatory lenders. Because David believed his massive income made him invincible, he heavily constructed a lifestyle out of fragile glass. When he got promoted, his ego violently demanded that he physically look the part. He enthusiastically signed an aggressive lease for the BMW, committing to an $850 automatically drafted monthly payment. He legally signed a heavy rental agreement setting him back $4,200 a month for the luxury apartment precisely to project massive dominance. He fell right into the tragic trap of the points game. He actively uses a premium credit card to buy absolutely everything to secure the earned imaginary airline miles, entirely decoupling his brain from the physical pain of spending. His average monthly credit card statement fiercely hovers around $5,000. David's total fixed monthly survival cost is almost $11,000. He was making massive money, but because he was aggressively passionately buying intense liabilities, explicitly masquerading as clean assets, his actual liquid checking account balance firmly on the sad morning, he was officially fired securely, rested exclusively at exactly $2,400. By day 7 of the simulation, the psychological warfare violently intensifies. The heavy machinery of David's luxurious lifestyle demands fuel. His car lease payment automatically drafts from his account. His luxury apartment rent posts successfully. His checking account essentially goes nuclear, dropping deeply into the negative. Panicking, David frantically transfers the remaining tiny slivers of cash from his useless online stock trading application, where he casually gambles with options. He does not tell his friends. He cannot. The entire core foundation of David's towering social identity is constructed on being the alpha earner. He is the guy who buys the expensive rounds of drinks. He is the guy who always knows the manager at the exclusive restaurant. If he openly admits to his wealthy-looking friend group that he cannot afford to attend a weekend brunch because he missed exactly one single paycheck, his entire meticulously crafted avatar shatters. He is suffering from a deeply documented psychological phenomenon called sunk cost identity. He believes he has invested far too much money, time, and ego into looking rich to simply turn around and downgrade his life. A regional director cannot be seen dramatically packing his bags and moving into a cheap, older apartment across town. In his mind, it is complete social suicide. So what does David do? He does what every single fake rich individual does when the river stops flowing. He reaches eagerly for the plastic. He starts financing the illusion with heavy debt. He pays his rent using a cash advance from his premium credit card, instantly triggering a brutal 25% compound interest penalty. David is not just bleeding anymore. He's actively pouring gasoline directly into the open wound. Let us switch the laboratory cameras over to Subject B. It is day 7 for Thomas as well. Thomas is sitting comfortably in the backyard of his slightly outdated house, casually throwing a tennis ball to his golden retriever. He is not sweating. His heart rate is perfectly resting at 60 beats per minute. Why? Let us conduct the autopsy of Thomas's incredibly boring, highly unsexy finances. Thomas only makes $65,000 a year, which means his monthly take-home pay is radically smaller than David's. But Thomas completely divorced his ego from his spending habits in his mid-20s. Thomas explicitly understands that a car is a depreciating hunk of metal and plastic designed solely to safely transport a human from point A to point B. Therefore, his Honda Accord has absolutely no car payment attached to it. It has been entirely paid off for years. His monthly transportation cost consists strictly of a small insurance premium and $50 in gasoline. When Thomas bought his house, the bank eagerly tried to lend him $400,000. Thomas politely declined, recognizing the dark trap, and instead bought a modest, older home for $220,000. He locked in a fixed-rate mortgage. His total housing payment, including taxes and insurance, securely sits at only $1,300 a month. Thomas uses a standard debit card or a basic cashback card that he painstakingly clears to zero every single Friday without fail. He does not buy extremely expensive cocktails because Thomas strictly prefers the quiet peace of his own backyard. His total fixed monthly survival cost is roughly $2,100. Because his fixed costs are terrifyingly low, Thomas's salary feels like a massive, overflowing, endless ocean of liquidity. Every single month, he aggressively, quietly, and confidently funnels the massive remaining surplus directly into a wildly boring standard index fund and a high-yield savings account. On the exact day the Black Swan event hit the laboratory and Thomas lost his job, he had exactly $60,000 entirely liquid in emergency cash reserves, calmly sitting in an account earning solid interest. If Thomas decides he does not want to eagerly search for a new job, he can mathematically sit in his backyard, aggressively play with his dog, watch television, and peacefully survive for almost 3 complete years before he even has to touch his stock market investments. For Thomas, losing a paycheck is a minor, temporary administrative inconvenience. For David, losing exactly one single paycheck is an apocalyptic, terrifying, life-altering disaster. We are fast-forwarding the simulation. It is day 30 in the laboratory. The psychological degradation of David is horrific to witness. The heavy facade is actively cracking. David has successfully financed his entire lifestyle for one incredibly stressful month, entirely on premium credit cards. He has charged almost $12,000 to plastic just to forcefully keep up the appearance that absolutely nothing is wrong. He still posts old photos of himself on social media to maintain the heavy digital illusion. But the mental toll is catastrophic. David cannot sleep. He's paralyzed by chronic insomnia. He lashes out angrily at his friends. He frantically refreshes his email hoping for a miraculous job offer to rescue him from the heavy dark pit he is digging. When his friends text him to invite him to a luxury golf weekend in another state, David's chest physically tightens in severe pain because he knows he must invent a complex, believable lie to avoid going. He literally does not have the available credit limit to buy the airline ticket. David is experiencing the ultimate paradox of modern consumerism. The massive luxury house, the incredibly shiny car, and the heavy expensive watch were purchased to make David feel a sense of profound ultimate freedom and supreme dominance over his peers. Instead, these exact inanimate objects have transformed directly into solid iron prison bars, violently locking him inside a cage of sheer panic. He is a hostage to his own ego. The peacock tail is dramatically dragging him completely down into the mud, and the predators are actively circling him. Meanwhile, inside the isolated simulation chamber next door, Thomas is casually using his newfound free time to paint his garage and learn how to cook new recipes. Thomas is sleeping a solid 8 hours a night. The brutal, terrifying chaos of the macroeconomic world cannot penetrate the thick walls of Thomas's financial fortress because his walls are solidly built out of vast margins, severe frugality, and heavily compounded invisible wealth. Let us forcefully stop the simulation. Turn the laboratory lights completely back on. We must violently strip away the illusion. You have been aggressively conditioned by brilliant marketers, incredibly clever advertising campaigns, and the dark psychological pressure of social media to believe that wealth is highly visible. You have been taught that if you cannot see it, it does not exist. A giant house implies wealth. A massive loud engine implies wealth. A heavy gold chain implies wealth. But true wealth is entirely invisible. True wealth is strictly the cars you decided not to purchase. It is the expensive luxury watches you left resting coldly in the display case. It is the vast empty space of a completely zero-balance credit card statement securely sitting on your desk. It is the profoundly terrifying power of knowing exactly that if the entire global economy halted tomorrow morning, you could safely sit quietly in your living room without a single drop of sweat appearing on your forehead. The fake rich individual is violently playing a game of intense musical chairs with their life. They are frantically dancing to the music of high cash flow, aggressively acquiring heavy liabilities that drain their capital, while furiously praying that the music never abruptly stops. But macroeconomic reality ruthlessly dictates that the music always inevitably, abruptly stops. Layoffs always occur. Severe recessions always return. Medical emergencies aggressively strike. The black swan perpetually arrives. If you are earning a strong income right now, you must deeply engrave the brutal reality of this laboratory strictly into your mind. Your massive income is not a permanent magic shield. It is entirely a temporary tool. If you use that immense tool to vividly escalate your lifestyle, the exact moment you touch the money, you are digging a deep grave with a solid golden shovel. You are essentially taking the heavy chains of the working class and simply spray painting them a beautiful shiny gold before wrapping them tightly around your own neck. To permanently escape the horrifying, soul-crushing tragedy of the fake rich trap, you must aggressively choose to be Thomas. You must fiercely embrace the immense, undeniable superpower of being profoundly boring. Divorce your fragile ego from your spending habits. Keep your fixed structural costs terrifyingly, impossibly low. Avoid the lethal trap of looking rich to people you secretly do not even care about. Acquire boring, compounding assets like index funds that silently produce cash rather than aggressively consume it. It takes zero intelligence to spend $160,000 on luxury goods. Anyone can blindly swipe a plastic card. But it takes true genius, profound humility, and absolute ruthless self-control to quietly hide $1 million safely in the dark where nobody can ever selectively see it. So here is the absolute ultimate question you desperately need to honestly ask yourself tonight, right before you silently close your eyes and go to sleep. Are you dragging around a violently heavy, incredibly expensive theatrical tale just to desperately prove to absolute strangers that you are succeeding in the world? Or are you quietly, methodically, completely hoarding your vital freedom for the day you actually want to spread your wings and fly freely away? Thank you so much for watching. I deeply appreciate the valuable time you spent here today dissecting this reality with me. If you are entirely ready to start building invisible, undeniable wealth and violently stop playing the highly toxic fake rich game, please forcefully hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will securely see you in the next video. Stay smart, but so much more importantly, stay profoundly free.